My first experience with feminism felt like a game of peekaboo. I see you. Welcome to the world of women, where we see your glass ceiling. We see the 69 cents to his every dollar. We see your struggle. You are safe here. You matter. That made me feel like saying back to the pages, "Hi, my name is Sagashus Levingston. Here are my 6 babies. Here are their 4 daddies. I'm black, I'm impoverished, and I want to sign up. Where can I be a feminist?" And it seemed to me that the pages said back, while clutching their pearls, "You want to be a feminist? You want to be one of us?" And it seemed to me that I heard other voices from the pages saying, "We take single mothers over here, but not like you. Yeah, we're breeders over here, but we don't breed like you. Yes, we are black feminists, but not black like you. Peekaboo, I don't see you." In one fell swoop, I was erased. Page after page, article after article, I searched for stories like mine, and they did not exist. I was absent. Peekaboo, we do not see you. But what feminism had taught me was to ask the question. It taught me to see the problem. And so I saw that my not being there was a major problem, and the question that I asked was, can mothers like me make a difference? Can marginalized mothers change society? Speculative fiction answered with a resounding yes. Magical realism, fantasy, science fiction, they all push the boundaries of the everyday. They all make us rethink reality. They make the impossible possible. Let me give you 3 examples. Just recently, Netflix aired a new series. In it, the superhero wears a hoodie. He's black, he's bulletproof. He wasn't born impenetrable, but life made him that way. Not too long ago, I was at a movie theater where I saw a movie where the government was faced with problems it could not solve, problems that was beyond its comprehension, understanding, and skill level. And so it recruited supervillains. Together, the villains and the government took down a formidable foe. One of my favorite series had an episode in which a young girl trains as an assassin. Because of her disobedience, she's blinded temporarily. Once she regains her sight back, a friend, a peer, wants her dead. That peer would have succeeded against that once blinded girl, except for the once blinded girl lured her into the dark. And it was in the dark where that peer fell. Each of these stories are presenting to us counter narratives, new ways of seeing. For example, sometimes the places where we struggle the most, sometimes the challenges we face in life help to create the most extraordinary people. Let me say it a different way. Sometimes we are exceptional, not in spite of what we've gone through, but because of what we've gone through. Sometimes the answers we seek are found in the populations we most dismiss, in the outlaws, the criminals, the rebels. And sometimes training in the dark proves to be more useful than education in the light. We value these things in speculative fiction. We root for them. We entertain their possibilities. Yet in reality, we're very conservative about our application of these very same values. Take, for instance, our treatment and approach to black mothers, in particular, stigmatized black mothers. The stories that we tell are constraining. We bind them in the things that we say. We say they are the reason for poverty. We say they pass on bad genes. We say the people having the most children are the ones least capable of taking care of them. We say they are neglectful. I say, what if we took our cue from speculative fiction? What if we saw these women not as problems to be solved, but as problem solvers? What if we saw these women not as people to be changed, but change agents? What if we could see that these women also exist as PhD candidates? What if we can see that these women exist as property owners? What if we could see that these women exist as college professors? What if we could see that these women exist as artists? What if we could see that these women exist as nurse practitioners? What if we could see that they exist as housing counselors? I knew that in order to answer these questions and to explore these real possibilities, it was going to be important for me to carve out a new name, a new identity. It was important for these women to have a clean slate. And so I looked for a term that was able to carry the weight of their past struggles, acknowledge the weight of their blackness, and acknowledge and honor their accomplishments. I took an old term and repurposed it, infamous mothers. In its literal sense, the word infamous means known for a bad quality or deed. The women that I explore in literature are definitely known for bad qualities and deeds. These are the women who are teen mothers, baby mothers, women who were once sex workers, women who were in prison, women with mental illness. And these very same women and these very same stories somehow not only managed to kick a habit or overcome a struggle, they managed to change society. In the same way that the term bad means good in Black culture, the phrase infamous takes on new meaning. Infamous mothers take on new meaning. They transition from being bad moms into stories to being extraordinary moms. Under the umbrella term infamous mothers, we see all types of mothers with all types of gifts and talents, extraordinary women. Let me introduce you to 3 types. The first type we see is the woman who was born to change the game. She was a woman who, whether deemed by the gods or the ancestors, was born to challenge the status quo. She was born with a mission. The second mother is a woman who we will see as an emotion wielder. In a world where logic prevails and rules, she's able to take her emotions, her fear, her anxiety, her anger, and channel it into something extraordinary, to start a movement, to change power dynamics. The third model is something that's consistent throughout all of these women we're talking about, and that is the shapeshifter. This woman was born to change things, namely herself. Every cell in her body defies limitations that are placed on her by other people, defies even the limitations placed on her by her own body. My question to you is, if these women, these extraordinary women exist, and they're around us every day, what are we doing to see them as assets? A few days ago, I was having a conversation with a man, and he reminded me that human resources are the very best resources. And if this is true, what are we doing to tap into the power of these mothers? What are we doing to see them as vital resources in our businesses, at our hospitals, at our institutions, at our schools? As a mother of 6, who's also a PhD candidate, and as a business owner who works with these women on a regular basis, I could tell you from firsthand experience, these women are extraordinary. As someone who works with them on a regular basis, I can also tell you that we talk about these things. We talk about different ways that we can engage and make a difference. We talk about different ways that we can leverage the power that we have and contribute to society. What I want to offer you today is 5 ways that you, as supporters, can also make a difference. On a day-to-day basis, people are knocking on your doors. They're knocking on your businesses, the doors of your businesses, the doors of your schools. And as business owners, as entrepreneurs, as people who make a difference in the world, you are always thinking of new ways to bring about the best and the brightest talent. You have already thought about ways to court overseas talent. You've thought about ways to bring athletes to universities. You've thought about ways to give first-generation students opportunities. The question that I'm asking you today is, in what ways have you thought about bringing these mothers and courting them as top talent? What pathways have you created? With that said, the first point that I want you to think about is, how, in what ways can you anticipate their arrival? And what things can you do to remove the barriers so that they can arrive? Books, bullets, and babies. I juggle all 3. That was the first line of my personal statement when I applied to graduate school. Now, I can guarantee you that those committees that read my personal statement had no idea what they were getting into. But with a line like that, I'm sure they could imagine the possibilities. And in my effort to be transparent with them, they did everything that they could to understand my story and to accommodate my reality so that I can succeed and bring to them the best qualities I had to offer. The African American Studies Department, the English Department, University Housing, the Office of Child Care and Family Resources, all pulled together to make room for this Black woman from the South Side of Chicago who had the raw talent to make a difference, and they had the abilities to cultivate that talent. So the second point that I want to say to you is, make room. Meet Infamous Mothers, A New Vision, our upcoming book. Often, when we think about marginalized mothers, we think about social pathogens. In this book, we imagine these moms as heroes, as game changers. Meet Chris Charles. He is the person behind everything visual for Infamous Mothers. He's our photographer, our graphic designer, our web developer. Often, when people imagine or depict vulnerability and nakedness, they associate it with sex. They associate it with shame. But in Chris's photography, he associates these things with class and dignity. Meet the Doyen Group. Often, when people are thinking about how to cultivate business owners, they want to know the plan. But when they're thinking about how to cultivate female entrepreneurs, they want to figure out how to support the entrepreneur. They want to figure out how to remove the barriers. My point to you is, I've just given you 3 examples of ways in which people have always done things, and I've introduced you to 3 models in which people have done things differently. They found ways to innovate and offer alternatives. So that brings me to the third point. And that point is, create new models. Some of the best people I've encountered, some of the most dedicated people I've encountered are social workers. But if I let you in on a little secret, growing up black on the south side of Chicago, I can tell you this. Social workers are to black mothers what police officers are to black men. When they show up, people are afraid. They're afraid that their families are going to be torn away. They're afraid people are going to go to jail. They're afraid children are going to go to foster care. They're afraid that one person's perception of their reality can change everything. So the fourth point that I want to make is shapeshift often. If you are in a position where you can make a difference in a family or a household, test your own boundaries, test your own bias, and figure out how you can take on a different form. Can you change from being a person who perceives your position as a crisis manager to becoming a social investor? And how would that change the way you engage these women? More often than not, I hear about black mothers, especially stigmatized moms, being baby makers. If we could change our idea of them into legacy makers, how would that change the way we engage them? If we knew that through these women's bodies were coming our next generation of attorneys, doctors, lawyers, business owners, how will we change the way we engage these women? How will we change the way we cultivate our relationships with these women? Would they be so easy to dismiss if we knew that they were the next generation, that they were producing the next generations of surgeons, teachers? Reframe, and reframe often. Thank you.